Hello, everybody. Welcome back. I have the hero tracker for Fire Emblem Heroes ready for you today, here, right now. And I am so tired. I've put about 38 hours into this, and I'm still not technically done. So this one might be a little bit longer, but I will try and section out the video with timestamps as to when I cover everything. I'm going to go over how this works now, because it is completely different from what you probably recall before. Now, I don't, full disclosure, have the new Heroes Return quite sorted out in my brain yet, and I just did not, frankly, have the time to do that, and then get this video out as well, because I also got a couple of curveballs thrown at me today, which was really fun. So I did kind of have to fix this on the fly, sorta. But we'll get to that. So let's start by looking at the new heroes and the Hall of Form candidates down there. Now, I am going to basically cover every hero by category, when they're coming back in what month. But as you're thinking about potential banners as we go through these slides, you might be kind of thinking like, oh, when are these going to fill in, right? So I'm going to keep them here the whole time, and you can kind of piece them in your brain. As far as Hall of Forms goes, we basically have it confirmed that Lilina and Faye are going to be back next month in October for that, because there is not actually a remix banner in October. Ninian is a candidate, potential candidate, for Hall of Forms in November. She is not a lock, ergo why her little frame is not nearly as bright as the Lilina and Faye ones. Nothing coming up for Sacred Stones. Micaiah might make an appearance in the Path of Radiance, and I only say that because there was a point in time where they put Legendary Ike in the Path of Radiance Hall of Forms. So they might do the same thing with Micaiah, who is also technically Radiant Dawn, but put her in the Path of Radiance Hall of Forms. More than likely, that's not going to be the case at all. And Micaiah will end up just being remixed. But that is yet to be determined. And then all the way down, when we finally get to 3 house representations, you can see Sothis there. I do not think Sothis is a strong candidate, being that she already has been in a Hall of Forms. There is Edelgard, who I think is almost definitely a lock. And then there's Arvel, who we will talk about in a bit when we look at, believe it or not, the remixed pool. Because I did have to go and update the future next 9 remix candidates, theoretically, when February hits, for the anniversary when they update that again. Because it turns out we had 4 returning in 1 month, which was an indicator to me that they have already sort of pre-planned the next 8 or 9 that will be moved into the upcoming remix pool in February. So, looking at new heroes, okay? Oh, actually, before I do that, Hall of Forms, they're not on here, because I just went the next 8 out, because that's what I could accommodate size-wise. But Air is scheduled to come back in July of 2025, which is a Heroes Hall of Forms. So, more than likely in July of 2025, Air is going to show up in the Hall of Forms. That is almost an entire year away still, and things could drastically change. Another reason why I only went 8 out. But, just, you know, for Air fans, get excited, maybe, but not too much. Alright, new heroes. Let's talk new heroes. Micaiah is gone. Okay, and so is Vale. That leaves Ursula from the Fallen pool, who will more than likely make an appearance next month. And then we have a little bit of that Radiant Dawn banner left. Soth will likely show up again. but we'll talk about that soon. Okay. I also have it booked out to the end of the current book. Booked out. Yeah, anyway. That's what those placeholders on the ends are. Those are future banners that have not actually happened yet. Okay. And then they're color-coded to be like the type of kind of hero that they are, whether Ascended, Remixed, Aided, whatever. Right? Okay. With all that preamble out the way, let's take a quick look at legendaries. Okay? This is the Legends, Mythics, and Emblems pool. These are when those are coming back, and in what month. Okay? This does not necessarily represent the banner, but I think you can kind of fill it in, like I have done with December, for example, that has all of the Brave Heroes, because for the last several years at least, we have had a full-on Brave banner return in December alongside the Mythics and Legends, and also now Emblems. Okay? So starting with October and November, nothing really changed there. I personally would probably assume that we are likely to get Soth and colorless for October, and then the new hero, I think it is a legendary, potentially, likely to show up in green. Okay? Ursula fills in for blue. Maybe Amelia shows up. Okay? And then we have our two red sword guys filling in up top there. But it could shift around. Okay? I don't want to give high expectations of hope, because frankly, I think a new Legend, Mythic, whatever it's going to be, could potentially be anything in green or colorless. So it's a bit of a toss-up. Either way, you're going to have a Rearmed or a Tombed filling in for whichever one it's not. So that's kind of a big dub, me personally. So good stuff. Good stuff there. November, again, nothing really to write home about. More than likely, you're looking at a double Mythic Legendary thing situation from the current book. That's what they've done the last couple years. Much to my dismay, Thor and Eitri shared several years ago, and it was painful. But you can see that the color options we have are very limited. So if I'm looking at this objectively, I think more than likely we're going to end up having probably a red and blue, if not a red and colorless share on that for a double. But we'll see how things fall. You know, it's always a little bit up in the air. Could also be a new blue hero. Color sharing alongside Myrrh, which would be really depressing. December. Again, that's when the Brave banner comes back. That is most importantly when SIGURD comes back. Color sharing alongside who we heavily suspect should be Bernadetta, and then something else. Quite possibly the new hero for that month. The thing that happens in December, typically, you get a new limited hero of one of these three archetypes, right? And then the new mythic. We'll put a little asterisk by that because it should be a mythic, but also might not be a mythic. From the next book. Okay? So, technically, for the December banner, there should be two new limited options, but one is probably a repeat from the new Heroes banner that debuted earlier that month for the new book. Okay? So, really, when you think about it from that aspect, there's only 3 fill-ins, potentially, that you need to look at. More than likely, a colorless and a green, and then another green or colorless. So, again, I would highly anticipate a new hero being blue for that month. So, January, Silica's coming back. That's a big one. Xander is still here. And I can confirm that this will likely be his last standard banner appearance. After January, he is likely to get bumped into the next remix pool. Okay? Reason I say that, that's going to be announced in February, right? We had a little oopsie-doopsie with March. Mainly because March had Asker as well as GOOOO and Big Scary Monster Guy. So when we got news that Guinevere was actually coming back, right, for March, that means that, there's 4. So then I had to go and look, and the next remix pool options in February for the upcoming, and I went to 9 because we recently had 9 announced. It's going to be Medeus, Myr, Xander, Asker, Deirdre, Ninian, Arvel, Embla, and Veronica. Okay? So, for what it's worth, if you want to go back and retroactively apply here, Embla's back in October, Veronica's back in December. This is also potentially their last standard banner appearances as well, until they get yeeted into late next year and likely will end up being in that remix pool. Now, being in the remix pool does not mean that they are being remixed, so we're clear. That just means that they are upcoming for remixed status. Okay? But they're in that kind of weird middle ground where they're a slightly older legendary or mythic, right? But also not quite old enough to get fully remixed in their kit, right? So that is the next 9 that we're going to be looking at. Which also, honestly, kind of gives more validation to Ninian potentially being in the Hall of Forms in November. Because they did something very similar with Deirdre, where she was still on the normal legendary mythic emblem banners, but did end up in the Hall of Forms, even though she had yet to be remixed. So, for what that's worth, that's why things are shifting around a little bit. Okay, so if you're wondering, like, oh, hey, where's Arvel, for example? Arvel has been moved over into the remix pool. That said, anyway, long story short, not a whole lot happening in February yet. That's an anniversary month. That's probably the only reason why Nerthas is currently there. There will be a lot more filler later. Emblem Marth, Lumera, Valencia, the 3 I just spent 2 minutes talking about back in March. Robin got yeeted to April, along with Haether. Freyr's back in May. Hinoka Yuri duoing up again in June with Ratatasker. And then Sather is all the way in July, which is a really long time from now. Let's go ahead and talk about the remix pool, though. Okay? Remix, kind of a big deal. Let's run through it real quick. You can see October, there is no actual banner, but they are basically confirmed because of that for the Hall of Forms. Lilina and Faye. November is pretty full. Okay, you can see who's on there. There's 2 green fillers for November. I did not indicate who is likely the new remix for that month. But if I had to take a guess, it's probably Oter and Thor. Which is super exciting for me personally. But yay, it may not be. It may not be. Who knows? Please let it be Thor. January. January, another pretty big month. We only have 3 open spots currently. Like I said, Micaiah technically could be in a Hall of Forms, but more than likely that is just going to be her remix month, which I am also really excited about. Nothing else to really touch on there, ultimately. February, you can see Medeus, he's down there now. Again, mainly because he's on that next row. So I would assume that when they introduce the February remix banners, Medeus will just be in that pool. Without any kind of, like, preemptive notice. Okay, which is fine, but he may also not be. This may take place after February. This is just my best guess to make everything fit the way that I think that it will. Me personally, I would just do 3 remix banners, call it a day. You know what I mean? But that's just me. That's just me. March, again, fairly big month. Asker, you can see him down there. He is almost certainly bumped into that remix pool. It's basically confirmed with Guinevere having been returned in March alongside the boys. So take that for what you will. It should be an Elamine remix. I'm hoping. I have a lot of really hype remixes over the next couple months, which I'm personally really excited about. May, again, you can see Arvel down there. They're probably in that remix pool at this point. Sothis, Edelgard, again, potential Hall of Forms candidates. The only one that I'm feeling uber confident about current state is Edelgard. And I think given the pool implications of Arvel at this stage, they are also a fairly possible candidate for Hall of Forms. And then Deirdre. So everything's going to get much more sparse after this. Dimitri, Air, Duma back in July. I already talked about Air being the front-runner option for the Heroes Hall of Forms in July. September, Byleth, Azura. October, Marth. Marth is also there. Good for Marth. I don't for the record know. Okay. But Marth is maybe gonna be in some sort of thing. We don't typically have October remix banners, which makes me question why he's there. I would almost guess that he's just gonna get moved at some point. Not unlike Lilina and Faye got an announcement today saying that they were moved to October from whatever month they were in. So I assume that they will probably do something similar with Marth. A lot of times, it feels like when they arbitrarily just jettison these remix pool legendaries out a year in advance, they just kind of stick them there because they know they're not going to interfere with any of the current plans that they have. And so it's just kind of a misnomer, if you will. So it doesn't really matter. Almost assuredly he will get moved around again. November, Small Blue Girl coming back. January, Big Blue Man coming back. Sorry, January 2026. Have to clarify that now. And so that is more or less what the remix kind of looks like. Again, use your thoughts to piece things together where they might fit in. And then, just because I really want you to have a good idea of where your orb budgets are going, I'm also starting to include special heroes. Now, we're still going to have the Mythic banner prediction stuff. We're still going to have the double special prediction stuff to go more in depth into what those banners likely will look like the month that they are relevant. But just to give you an idea, this is the updated of what we are currently looking at. I have pre-filled in the upcoming pools the Halloween presumed Ninja banner. They may bring something else back. I don't know. Probably still is Ninja. And then winter banners, so the next 3 seasonal banners to get us up through December. All the upcoming banners represented here have not had a partial representation. Partial representation is in the partials. How novel. That's going to be where they've kind of pieced parts some things out. You can see they are slightly color-coded, so anything with a gold frame is going to be a 5-star. Silver frame is going to be a 4-star. Anything with a pink is going to be a duo or harmonized. Okay. So that maybe gives you a better indication as to what is kind of happening here. Everything's segmented out through the banners that they represent. You can see gaps where gaps occur, like the second summer banner where there was no green, things like that. So hopefully that gives you a slightly better idea. They are doing stuff with the special banner too, so that one's going to take a little bit of time to try and ultimately figure out. But I hope that this helps in the meantime. And then again, I'm working on the new Heroes Return banners. Those are wildly speculative. As far as I can tell, they have a very sporadic appearance rate beyond just what they have within them. So I am working on that. Please bear with me. And outside that, this is the whole thing put together. I don't know if that's helpful for you or not. I'm not sure it could be, even if it were. But that is, oh boy, that is what it looks like, huh? I really like the new look. It has been blood, sweat, and tears, let me tell you. But moving forward, at least for the foreseeable future, this is how I'm going to do it. Previously, I was really focused on trying to keep everything very condensed and within the same month so you could see everything align properly, but it just got to the point where that was not feasible anymore. So now we're segmenting everything out by pool and putting it here to kind of show you like when stuff's going to come back and how. Okay, so hopefully that's helpful. If it's not, I'm very sorry. This is how it's going to be. But hey, that is the hero tracker for FEH. I will do updates for specific banners as needed. Like I said, I'm going to be doing my Emblem SIGURD polls probably Saturday, and that video will be up for you Saturday evening-ish, probably after I'm done streaming for the members. So just look forward to that. I will do I'll do a premiere so you guys can chat and stuff if you want. But that is it for now. Thank you so much for watching. I'm so glad to cross this off my plate, and it's just a maintenance game from here on out. Thank you again, and I will see you in the next one.